time on Life After the Party. We've done remotes, but we haven't done one like this.
No.
And we want to thank Dirk Harkins for being here. But I'm going to do a little intro that I wrote up for you, so don't blush too much. But anyway, to say Dirk Harkins is a pillar of the community is an understatement. What he's done and continues to do for the local community and beyond is the epitome of what a Christian man is called to do. Through his podcasts, I Got Your Six, People Helping People, and his outreach to fellow veterans as well as his work with TMS, Dirk is an incredible human being whose outreach speaks for itself. But what most folks don't know is how he got here. And that's what we'll find out on this episode of Life After the Party. So there we go. That's what I was scrolling away at.
Told you he's a wordsmith.
He is.
So Dirk, welcome. We wanted you in the studio really bad, but
that will happen.
It will happen, but we know you got stuff to take care of down in Florida.
Yeah, he's a journeyman.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And
people know you, but they don't know the background of you as much. And we don't either.
Right. And I mean, from the little bit that we do know, and everything that I just said there, I mean, I wrote that up from my heart because
exactly.
I mean, I'm glad to call you a friend, and we just met each other that first time, and could feel it right away. Mm-hmm. And everything that you do is really, really something amazing, and we strive to be more like you. To be honest with you, I mean that's something that that's what this is all about, is trying to help people. But what you're doing. And not just here, but across the country, is something astronomical, and we're just going to let you just run. Just start with the story of, from a wee lad, but from 35 on, whenever you joined up. But just tell us and everyone else this incredible story,
who you are.
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on here tonight. I wish I was sitting right there in the middle of you two guys, and I had a great time with you. And on I Got Your Six, People Helping People there a few weeks ago. That was a great time. Mm-hmm. And that was, I'm glad that this relationship is building and we're just continuing to help people together, But when I get back home and, I'll be sitting right there between you, so it'll be fun time again.
And we have something brewing there too.
Yes, we do.
Something exciting for the community, hopefully, if we can pull it off. So
there's a couple more exciting things coming in the future, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
But, I'm married with 4 kids, a daughter and a son, 2 stepsons, and 5 grandchildren, and I get the pleasure of working, helping veterans and first responders every day. But I guess if you want me to start at my, I grew up I graduated from Josiah High School in 1986. If you do the math, that's probably, I've been out of school probably longer than you guys are born. I'm not sure.
But him,
he's like, yeah. But that's when they still had this high school down there. And I worked in construction and oil fields, and I was working in a coal mine when 9/11 happened. I was 33 years old at that time, and that's when I made the decision to go into the service. And
which is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, not to interrupt you, but that is like 33 years old going into the service. And it's like, that can't be the norm, right?
No.
Yeah. Well, when at that time I was working out there at Harrison Mining, and they was going through there was a thing where they was trying to bring the union into that coal mine out there, and right at that point in time, I was 33. I turned 33 a couple of days after, and I just started in there, had a couple young kids, had to take care of some things financially, but I knew at that point in time, and I had to start getting ready, start preparing myself mentally, physically, and spiritually to go, because I was going to be the old man.
Right.
So I ended up getting laid off at the mine, so it's kind of ironically enough and perfect where this seemed like God had set up. Well, now I'm definitely going, you know what I mean? And I went
none whatsoever. Yeah.
I went the day I was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. When I went in, I called the recruiter and said, "Hey, I'm going to be 35 here real quick, so we got to make this move." I want to jump out of airplanes. I'm good. 82nd Airborne. That's where my brother was at. So I want to be with my brother. He's my little brother. He's still my hero. I look up to him, and I wanted to go down there, be around him and his family, and have our kids together, experience this together. And it was really neat because we lived so close at one point in time down there. We could walk back and forth. But when I went to basic training, I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and on a Sunday I turned 35, and then the next day I drove the bus with everybody across the railroad tracks, and I started basic training 35 years old, and it didn't take them long to identify. I was a little bit older, but I still had the highest PT scores and stuff coming out of there. I was the top out of there, but it was fun, and it was pretty interesting. They call me Pops in there, the drill sergeants. They messed with me a little bit for being an old guy. Some of them gave me a little slack for it, but not too many of them did.
Were the drill sergeants younger than you?
I had 2 drill sergeants that were younger than I was.
Oh, wow.
Drill Sergeant Pickleman, he's pretty wild. He's pretty fun. He was a young guy. He said, "You're old enough to be my dad," the very first day. I was like,
that's awesome.
Wow.
Well, kudos to that, man. That takes a lot of guts to do that age.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? You mentioned God in there, and there are no coincidences. I mean, that was meant to be because of what your life journey has become, throughout this. From that, that call that you felt to go, and then now this journey that you've continued on, which, keep going. But that's, I just wanted to kind of point that out because
that's
it is,
amazing.
it's pretty amazing. And I mean, God makes no mistakes. We know how that works, but.
Yeah, he has a perfect plan.
Right.
You said there a while back, if you have a policy, so has a plan, and we might not know what it is all the time, it might be a path that we're looking to go down. But if we know we're being moved, we better be moving.
Right. It's his time, not ours. But
that's right. But other than that's why I went in, and I went to airborne school in Fort Benning, Georgia after that, and then I was stationed at 82nd Airborne and got to jump out of high-speed aircraft and hang out with my brother, his wife, my sister-in-law, Amy, and all their kids. It was pretty fun.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. But then, after basic, that's where it all started to come together, right?
Yeah, I mean, after basic training, I was doing good in the middle. I was doing pretty, really good, moving through the ranks pretty fast. I was a staff sergeant before 4 years.
Wow.
And I had a supporting cast of people, and everybody in the military knows that you can move up the rank pretty fast sometimes, and there are certain MOSs, and if you work hard and do the right things and you get the right people behind you, they can move you along a little quicker, with your time in the service. But and that was working out like that with me. And then when the unit I was with, I was a personal security detachment team on it. We did security. We took the battle space commander out on missions. We took all kinds of civil affairs. We escorted all kinds of people out into battle space, gathering intel, kick indoors, whatever it was. That's what our job was. So,
kicking indoors.
And it was pretty fun. I really enjoyed doing that. That camaraderie, that tightness with your brothers over there. So
yeah. I mean, that's pretty.
I mean, you should be proud of course, of your service for sure, and thank you for that service. Really, that's amazing. It really is, and to think you did it at 35.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Ty's 37 right now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So
when I was 37, I was in. I think when I was 37 in Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah, doing that, and what kind of led to me, going in the service. I did that. Then we was in overseas, and then in 2007 in May, we was doing a basic combat patrol in Tikrit, Iraq, and we were taking civil affairs out. And there's always, when you're going right down in the middle of the strip in there to Tikrit, there's kind of 2 lanes here, 2 lanes here. There's a little divider, but all over this sidewalk over there, Saddam Hussein used to have these stars, and they were concrete, and they were built on a sidewalk, and they would like sit up, like this, and they were pretty close to the road, and they would just go there and jam IEDs in them, and they hit a couple of our different trucks that was going in there on patrol, and really got a couple of the soldiers that was on a different unit of ours going into there on a mission. So they made them, you could hide them underneath that concrete behind them and get them close to the road and just kind of blow that stuff off. They could make it easier too by just chipping that stuff out and so it still blow onto.
Wow.
But you couldn't see it. So they made them put concrete over them, put metal rings in the middle of them. So the only way you could do anything, you're protected. If they put it out here in the middle, they lay it up on top, you're going to see it going down through there.
Right.
So one of the things that they did is they put these big trees. And my first mission went there on some of them where they covered a complete star. And it was like, that's terrible right there, because I called all the gunners down inside the turns, made them turn to the west, the opposite direction to where the stars were, because I felt like we're going to get hammered, you know what I mean? Because now, if there's any more of these big trees as we're going through this strip, and I'm looking at them, I see them coming up. There's another one covering the whole thing. I was like, man, if they put something in there underneath there, we're really in big trouble. This is crazy, you know what I mean? We got to have them remove them trees when we get back. So we were actually escorting a civil affairs team that day. So I got on the radio and I was like, see these trees? They need to get the heck rid of them. You know what I mean? At that point, I probably didn't use that much that language, but that's
Right.
I mean, this is dangerous. Now, I told my driver, I said, Purdue, man, you got to slide over a little bit up here on this. And there's a big wall that's taller than the Humvees, and they had their little pretty flyers and stuff. And it's just right when you start coming down shrinking down into the creek. And the very last one we saw had a big tree on it. And I was like, man, I don't feel good. Well, boom. Next thing I know, I wake up in a cloud of dust, smoke, it rocked us up on that wall. They hit us with a stack of IEDs, knocking. The driver was unconscious. I just thank God every day for them Frag 5 kits and armored vehicles that we had saved every person's life in that truck that day.
Wow.
Shrapnel pieces through the window that stuck. They got out the window with glasses like that thick.
Oh my
God. And pieces of it just come right through and stopped on the outside. They were like, you want these pieces? When I'm laid up, I had traumatic brain injuries and some different injuries from that. But that kind of just led to me being medevaced out. When I got back to the FOB that day, I was starting to have headaches real bad. That's what was going, and I just couldn't even see straight. I started getting sick, and they grounded me for 3 days when I got back there because of that, and we just wanted to see what was going on. And so I went back to my room. I was having a hard time moving around. I had some pains and stuff, and I started getting in the middle of the night. I started getting real sick, just from the concussion of the brain and stuff, and I started getting sick. And my buddy, he's like, we shared a room with. He's like, dude, I think you're not going to make it over there, moaning and groaning. And I was like, I didn't even realize what was going on. I'm trying to, just get through tonight. And I said, I'll be all right by morning. You know what I mean? So middle of the night, he went over and got somebody, and they started hitting me with morphine, all kinds of stuff. And then it just led to me being medevaced out of Iraq. And then once I got back, everything, the opioids and everything started just being pretty readily accessible. That's how we was treating everything with Oxycontin, morphine, and Percocets. So
it was just routine.
Yeah.
That's what. And then it just, instead of trying to, sometimes I kick myself in the backside. I wonder what the heck, you know what I mean? Because my personality, those things would just get me. I remember when they first gave me the shot when I was in Iraq, I could barely stand up. I couldn't even see straight. My head was just beating so hard, but they just loaded me up. And I sat right up and was like, I'm ready to go get some, payback, whatever you want to call it. and it just made me feel like all the time.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's wild. Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, man.
Yeah, wow. Like, I'm in awe. That's real right there for sure. And so then, so you're back. Did they bring you back to the States? Is that what they did when you went out, medevac out of, you went back to the States?
For different injuries, like if you had an injury like you were burnt, that you go to Texas at Fort Hood. If you traumatic brain injuries and different spinal injuries and stuff, they take you to Womack and Fort Bragg. And my injuries landed me right back to my home base at Fort Bragg. So they flew me back, started doing different. I went through a whole bunch of different talk therapies, treatments, just different, all kinds of different things for my neck and spine and head there. But mostly the answer at that point in time, they would just feed me with opioids. And when my pain level would catch up to it, I would tell them, and it would be all right from 80 milligrams to 100 milligrams of morphine, and then 100 more milligrams of Oxycontin to 110 milligrams. You know what I mean? Take these Percocets. I had to always every month get a bottle like this. You know what I mean? And be just take them as needed. Really, tens of Percocets. It was crazy. I just sit in there. I got myself in bummed out because I was just something that I was so passionate about and love so much, and being that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Going home, I felt like I let everybody down, and then I felt like, I see people who didn't make it home. You see people don't make it home, and people just with just the IEDs that dismembered their bodies and stuff. You know what I mean? So I feel super blessed, and I felt super guilty about me.
Oh, it'd be a double-edged sword.
It would be.
You know what I mean? And then the fact that they're going to have me medically retire me from the military. With the injuries and the brain injuries and stuff like that I had going on, traumatic brain injuries, it beat me up pretty good, you know what I mean? And then I just kind of, at that time, I was so into the opioids and sitting in my carport, washing them down with a couple bottles of tequila at that time, you know what I mean? There's mosquitoes biting me and just falling over dying, I would have to say in the middle of the night, you know what I mean?
And I mean, of course, at this point that you shouldn't have felt any guilt for that. I mean, you went above and beyond, and that's the thing. At that time frame, that was it was opioids. It was what they were. A doctor was prescribing it, and that was their solution to everything. Exactly. And then it's just, in my opinion, it's just like, okay, now go away.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, that's basically what it is until you need another script. And then, it's not fix the problem.
Yeah,
it's covered up.
Yep, pretty much.
So
slap a Band-Aid on that thing.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
And then your tolerance goes up so high, you need more and more, and it's really ugly how it happens.
You start taking these crazy concoctions, you know what I mean? Yeah. You're mixing them or trying to chopping them up, whatever you want to do at that point in time. Just getting in the rabbit hole, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what happens. And then that's how we see a lot of these guys going to the street when they, finally they're not.
Yeah.
It's not so just thrown at you like that. Because of the complications of it, because people, when they take them off of it, their bodies aren't ready for that, man. They gotta go to the street.
Yeah, your body just goes nuts, and you don't know what to do. You don't know who to talk to, and you just want to go find more. And back in the day, it was easy to find it on the streets. I'm sure it is now, but I haven't been on the streets in a long time. So.
It's self-medicating. I mean, yours is an extreme case for sure, but I think that people, mental health wise, people do that all the time, every day. You know what I mean? Like, it be it oxy, alcohol, you name it. It's trying to feel right. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to, I mean, and the worst part about it is that the doctors are giving it to you. And so I would imagine in your mind, you're like, I mean, I'm not an addict because the doctors are prescribing it to me, right?
I never once thought that at that time I was an addict on it. There was a time that I knew that my body was dependent on them, and I was dependent on it because there's a time around the Christmas when I break Christmas, around that time, and I wasn't working, and I was like, I got to quit taking these things, you know what I mean? And I quit taking them for about a day and a half, and I started getting really sick, like a flu-like feelings, and I thought I really just had the flu because it was that time of the year, And then I'm laying in bed just feeling so miserable one day, and people told me you got to take up some of them pills, I mean? You're going through withdrawals. I was like, there's no way, what I mean? And my body seized out on me, and it was just uncontrollable. I was just like, and then I was like, whoa. And my kids heard me. They come running into the room, and I was like, hey, get out. I'm sitting there sweating like crazy. And before they could get out of the room, I did it again. And I took a morphine and a Percocet or morphine and Oxycontin went like that. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Horse it down. Half hour later, I'm taking a shower. I go out to the couch and I'm carrying on a conversation like this. And that's when I knew I felt better.
Yeah.
That my body was dependent on them.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, it was
a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't stop taking them at that time, what I mean?
I mean, you had a script. The doctor was pushing them on you. I mean, there's no, you know for a fact you want to quit, but you're in pain too. So it's like, what do I do? You know what I mean? And at that time, like Ryan said, they're really pushing them on you and sending you home. Yeah. So there was no like counseling or anything like that. It's just, of course I didn't go through anything like that. I just did it because I had my anxiety, but you had a reason to do it because you were in actual pain.
Well,
that's hard.
And then it's easy to take advantage of them too. You know what I mean?
Especially when you get that feeling. And then you get the cold sweats, you get sick. And I've never seized before, but how long did you go without them to make you seize?
Almost 2 days. 2.5 days. It didn't take very long.
But you're on high milligrams too, though, so that's probably it's a lot of milligrams to just quit cold turkey. Yeah.
And then when I left the military, when I was medically retired out after 6 years, they just kept giving them to me. I came home and was just getting myself in a bad way with them, more than people realize. And was drinking and carrying on there and thinking I was having a good time all the time and just trying to drink every bottle in sight,
Oh, yeah.
Just to forget about it.
That's Ryan's expertise.
Yeah.
But so you understand, just trying to, you look for happiness right where you lost it at the bottom of that bottle,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you always say, like, I don't know about you, but if I was drinking that much, then I was on. I was the person that I thought everybody wanted me to be, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So, I get it.
The show.
But I mean, but nowhere near. Like, I would never, that's where the comparisons end because, by the grace of God, I did not have, I had surgeries since I was a kid, kidney surgeries. They took a muscle out of my leg and everything. And every time they would do one, and I've had so many that I can't even count, they give me bottles of Oxy. Like bottles of it. Street value on that would have been insane. And I would only take because, and God bless my wife, but she would be like, don't take too many of these. Because I don't think the personality.
Yeah.
And so I would take them when I wanted to sleep, you know what I mean? Because the pain, like that's when, and my sister's a nurse and when I was in the hospital, they were asking about pain and I have a pretty high tolerance for pain, I guess. And I said, I don't use them that much. I said, I use them when I want to go to sleep. And then she got me alone. She's a nurse. She's like, don't say that. She's like, it's not something you say to them. And I'm like, but it's the truth. I was like, I don't use them a bunch, but I use them for that, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, I know how they were. But by the grace of God and my wife, that it was, you know, they were in a secret bowl in our house, you know, like
Right.
I didn't even have a whole lot of access. I'd have to ask her for them or whatever, but I didn't have a problem with that. So, but I didn't want to get that, you know.
Right.
So keep going. I'm sorry. That's the only way. That's the only comparison that I have.
That's
that
good comparison.
and the alcohol, but you know, so
Yeah, but I mean, it just turned into some. I guess some. You know, I was having some bad ways. You know, I had a family around me. You know, that loved me and supported me, and I just never really took advantage of that. You know what I mean? And leaned on them. You know, I just try to figure that stuff out myself, and it doesn't work out that way. You're driving that bus yourself. You don't let go. You're going to crash and burn it. And I was just crashing and burning all over the place. I was doing things that way out of character of what I normally would do or say. And a lot of times people would tell me things that I was doing and saying that were just pretty much that way. You know what I mean?
So it's like blackouts. I mean,
yeah, I drinking.
Remember? Wow.
And
do you think that was both? I mean, I'm sure that it was, you know, it was a blender mix of what you were taking and drinking and the head injury, right? I mean, would all those coincide together to make it to where it was like a blackout all the time?
Yeah, I do believe so. I mean, and until I was able, you know, to have probably the worst night one of the worst nights of my life, turn in one of the best things that ever happened to me, to go find out in Texas when they finally took a good look with the neurons and looking at the parts of my brain that were affected. You know, that's where it started to change. You know,
how did that come about?
Like, how did you find out? Yeah, how did you find out about that?
Well, there was an evening where you're talking about how the VA would just.
When they said when, and I know that's what he was asking too, but when they finally said, you know, go out to Texas and they're going to scan, find what, you know, if we can figure out what part was damaged or what have you. I mean, I don't know the medical terms, but how did you get from them just saying, here's a script to let's look for something else? Was there someone who told you or that you knew? Because I mean, I know that's a major part of your life now. That's what you do. So.
That's it. Well, what happened, I'll back up a little bit with my primary care doctor. When I finally, I said, I have to get off these, you know what I mean? She was in Pittsburgh. We started weaning myself back off of them, doing different things, and I got off of. Then it got to the point where, I'm not getting it from the VA. I'm getting them off other people at that time. You know? And I was starting to have some, I was just feeling, all these things that, during these blackouts, I was just hurting the people that love me the most, you know. Amy and I were dating, and she would help me do anything, and I would just be a complete idiot around her. It's everybody, and it was just terrible. And I started getting these bad thoughts in my head. I started contemplating, you know, suicide. And I hear people say how selfish and stuff that is. And sometimes I think that's not a very appropriate word that we use in the ways I feel like it is. But then I'm thinking, if you've never been there, if you've never felt that.
Yeah, it really is.
Right. And it's repeating. I've never thought that before in my life, and never even considered it until, you know, and then it was an overwhelming thing where I'm like, why is this doing this to me? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's got to be terrifying.
Feeling like this. So I went to the VA one day, and I took my backpack, my Army backpack. I stuffed a few clothes in it, and I went to my primary care, and I went in there and I said, listen, I've been in here before, and I told you I've been thinking, you know, doing some bad things, but thinking and I need help. You know, I mean, I need to go to your CTAD program. I need to talk something. I need to do something because I can't do this on my own. Bad things are going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this was on a Wednesday when I did that. She said, go down to the pharmacy, get yourself, I'm going to send you a script in. I said, I don't want them. You know what I mean? I don't need those. That's the last thing I need right now. If you give me that, I need you to stick me somewhere. And I said, don't you hear I'm saying? I hold my backpack like this. She goes, Dirk, you'll be okay for 5 days. Tuesday, I can get you into this program, do this and that, and it's going to be all right. And I was just like, grab my backpack back up. So I held it up and I slammed down and I picked it up. And I said a few words to her, very polite, and I just walked straight out the door, you know what I mean? And she's like, where are you going? You know, you going to go get your meds? I was like, you can put them where the sun don't shine. I don't know what I'm here for. And then you just turn, I couldn't believe it. So no matter, I was so mad, no matter what she said to me, I'm not stopping. And you're not, and it's going to take a handful of you to stop me from going out the door because, you know, I mean, I was ticked off that time. So
when you're desperate.
Right.
Yeah. And they just said, see you. And, so 2 days later, I'm still thinking about it. I just started to party, you know what I mean, for that night. And it just turned into a couple-day banger there. And then I was leaving, I was getting kicked out a couple of places at one night. And then I was heading back over leaving and get my car. And really didn't have any idea what I was going to do or what I was going to go, but just nobody was serving me because I was all liquored up on them Jaeger bombs and stuff. And so when I took off, I ran into about 3 or 4 sheriffs that were in town. I mean, right about in the side of their car. And I was going about 60 miles an hour. And then I just went through town and their lights were on me instantly. And I just took them for a high-speed chase and went down the road a little bit. And then I ended up pulling over. And then I just, when I pulled over, I remember cops coming up saying, freeze, you know, get back in your car. And I was like, not tonight. I had bad intentions. I thought maybe they might take me out. You know, now that's selfish to having somebody else maybe do it. You know what I mean? To me,
I mean, you were at the end of your rope, and you were like, I can't take this anymore. You know, I mean, it's awful. It's a horrible thing, but yeah, I mean. Sorry, just I'm in awe of this. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, man. I appreciate it, but I assaulted him, and I kept getting back up. I mean, it lasted for a while. The guy I was in his yard, he actually called the Legion where Amy was working, and she could hear the commotion, and he's saying, "Stay down. They're going to kill you. They're going to shoot you." And she's wondering. She can hear this. She can hear the sirens. She can hear me yelling. She can hear everybody yelling. This stuff going on in the background, it lasted a while, and then he hung up, and then next thing I know, you're not going to. I ate a bunch of pepper spray and different things, and they ended up in the cuffs, and they took me to jail. And then the next day, when I called Amy, I said, "Can I use my call?" I was being pretty belligerent that night. I was being a total idiot. But the next morning, they had me in a little solitaire thing there. And the next morning, I got up and I begged to let me get my phone call. And I called Amy real quick and tell her, "Hey, I messed up last night. I'm sorry. I can't take this anymore." So she already knew what went on.
Right.
Heck, the whole town and county did by then. But
and she knew what you were going through before that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it broke her heart, you know what I mean, and it upset her. But as soon as I hung up the phone, I picked it straight back up and I called Senator Frank Hoagland at the time. And I told him where I was at, and I told him what I was thinking and why I was doing what I was doing. And I said, if you come get me out of here now, I said, I'm tired of just disrupting everybody's life around me. I'll take care of it today. You know what I mean? I don't want to live. I'm tired of living like this, and I got myself in some big trouble, you know. And he was like, he was floored because he just never thought that was going to happen, or he'd never get that phone call from me.
Right.
But he did, and when he did, he reacted to it and he took it seriously, and he knew I was serious, and he ended up calling. I didn't know what he was going to do. I just went back in. They were telling me all these things, where I was going to go, for how long I was going to go, and you know what I mean? And they were very happy. And so I was there for about 2 hours. And they came in and told me, today's your lucky day. And I'm thinking, I'm not feeling very lucky. I don't feel like I'm on a winning streak right now, being in here. And I said, why am I so lucky? They said, get your stuff and let's go. So I went out, and there's Jim Thompson from the Veteran Service Office in Caddis when he was the Veteran Service Office up there. And he gave me a big hug, said, it's okay, brother. And Frank called me, and I'm here to get you. And I'm thinking, right on. I'm going home, and it's, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And I said, let's go. And he said, you're not going home. And I was like, if I get to that door, I'm going home.
Right.
And Jim told me, he goes, Dirk, when we got outside, don't do anything. Just go with me, please. You have to go to the VA right now. And I get in the car with him, and he's gagging from all the pepper sprays. I never did take a shower that night. I refused to do anything that they told me. I had about this size, and I had hair too. But he took me up there and had me up there and put me on the 4-4 for about 6-7 days. And while that was going on, Amy was coming up trying to get me some help, telling them that I went to the VA looking for help. She had my psychiatrist that I had to talk to that she knew very well, going to appointments with me. Had him coming up and everybody coming up. And that's how I got introduced to transcranial magnetic stimulation. Is Frank called Amy, Senator Hogan and Frank, and told her, you're not going to like this. Dirk's going to Texas. He had a Navy SEAL buddy out there who they was doing this TMS with Navy SEALs, Special Force Unit guys, professional athletes, and they were just having all these amazing results from migraine headaches to better focus, just everything. Sleep, number one thing is sleep. So,
right.
And this is shock treatment, correct?
It's not a shock. It's a magnetic stimulation pulse. It's thing, yeah. But it's actually quite relaxing and refreshing. Most of the time I'd fall asleep, just let that thing do the work. But I couldn't understand why I had to go to Texas. Why can't I do it here? But we didn't have the availability. We didn't have that technology out here on the East Coast at the time. So I went to a place called Canyon Lake, Texas, and or Windmill Canyon Lake, Texas. Windmill Wellness Ranch in Canyon Lake, Texas is what it was a place called. And I started doing TMS, EMDR, taking a look at myself, checking it out, see, what I had to do. And that's when my life started to change around for the positive, I started doing TMS. I was having migraine headaches for 12 years. Every day I'd wake up at the level of a headache, some level of headache. And I would always have a migraine 3 or 4 times a week. So everything I'm doing all the time is constantly trying to medicate to get rid of them. And after 4 treatments was the first time I knew that stuff was working, because the 4th treatment, I woke up the next day, I didn't have any level of headache. I thought it was a Texas Air or something, what I mean? I still didn't give that machine credit. So for 4 days, I didn't say anything to anybody. I just go do my stuff. My energy and focus and everything was just like, whoo, and my headaches were gone, man. I said, so that's why I started calling Senator Hogan, saying, dude, this is amazing. Thank you for getting me here. You know what I mean? And I can't be selfish and self-centered and come back to Ohio and not be trying to help my brothers and sisters dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with, because there's this number 22 a day. It's for real. And I'm not coming back without trying to, let's do this. You know what I mean? And he sent some folks from the AMVETS at the state of Ohio in a couple of different places, and some guys that's on the team now. Jeff Lindquist, you saw him on one of the ones the other day. The one from Oregon, he was giving you all the how about throw him off the show, but yeah, they flew out there and just started talking to me and see what was going on, and watching other people go through the program to see how I was working. And then when I came home, believe it or not, I was wearing suits and tie a good bit. We'd go up to Columbus and just talk about it, testify about what it's done to get shirt. Really, I would even get in more depth with my story and talk to them about sitting on the edge of bed with 357 in my mouth and how I was at different times. You know what I mean?
So it was kind of like the Supreme Court. Did you have to go in front of like a Supreme Court? Is that what I mean?
Really, you go in front of any of the. There's all kinds of different committees. You know, you go in there and just because what it is, it's a state funded program in Ohio. When we finally got the TMS, the ability to have it in the state of Ohio,
yeah,
it's a taxpayers funded program. This is something that the state put through for the mental health to help veterans and first responders, and now we're having such amazing results with it.
Hey man, that's awesome.
They're just continuing to carry this program year after year. You know, we've been just 5 years in the state of Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And now we're obviously in Florida. Amy and I are in Florida doing the same program. But in Florida, they have this amazing thing that no other states have. They're letting us take some of these units, these zonal units like we had up at Harrison County Sheriff's Office for a while, and we're able to take them to what they call the underserved population. And that's people was like an hour outside our brick and mortar. You know, you can't drive an hour in to try and then an hour out. But if you're driving an hour out from somewhere going into Tampa or Orlando or Miami, you got another 45 minutes and all that stuff down here. You know what I mean? So we're able to bring it right to somebody's house if we have to right to your legion, right to your fire department. And that's what I hope that all the politicians back home are just watching this so closely, because the reason Amy and I are here to show that how successful we're going to be with being able to take it to somebody, and because they'll never ever get a chance to have that opportunity because they're not going to drive that far. They can't drive that far.
Right.
And in the meantime, they're struggling, and could be like where you were for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, you're saving lives because they absolutely need it. Can I ask you something? And this just popped into my head.
Yeah.
When you can take it mobile like that, I mean, I'm sure because you had mentioned earlier, you know, which is it's a travesty that you know people that defended this country are homeless.
Yeah.
Right? Like can you take it out to, because I mean, I'm sure that there are so many people that are, you know, self-medicating and to say living is an understatement because they're not living, but they're out there. They don't even have, I don't even, you know, I mean, I'm guessing, but I know that it happens. Is there an ability to pull those people in too? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. That's one of the things we're looking for. Right now, we're in the Lady Lake area down around the villages, just 45 minutes an hour northwest of Orlando.
Okay.
And we have brick and mortar in Orlando. So this is the first. We're up here at the villages. They have the largest condensed population of veterans probably in the United States, especially in Florida. Right now, they have the largest legion in the United States.
I did see that on your podcast. Yeah,
6,500 people, and they get 60 to 80 new members a month.
Wow!
But so we're down here with we're one of these military organizations get to be the first one to ever have this opportunity to put this in there, lead from the front, and show the rest of the world how it works. You know what I mean? Because we could be putting this on the magazines. So we're really excited right now down there at the AMVETS Post 8083 here, Belleville, right outside of Lady Lake. We're putting the machine in there. Their commander's going through. We have a couple other guys going to be going through, and so they're going to be the first one ever. And we're going to have the VFW magazine come in and talk to these guys and gals who go through the program, and they get on that front cover, and that'll help them spread.
That's incredible. It really is. It's incredible. I mean, it's a blessing, 100%. You know, I mean, and you're a blessing for real, man. You were a hero then, and you're a hero now, and I'm just saying it. I'm just saying, you know, you are.
But I don't feel like I'm a hero. I just feel like I feel like the luckiest guy in the world because I'm surrounded by people who love me, and I get to watch God's work every day.
Well, I tell you what, and I'm sure that those folks feel just as lucky as you do, or probably more, because what you're doing is, like I said in the intro, you know, I mean, it's the epitome of being a godly man, you know. I mean, to go out and help others is what's all about, you know.
And you believe in it.
And I mean, it's not only does he believe in it, but he's lived it. And so, I mean, it's like, I mean, again, starting from back to the beginning when there's no coincidences, that whole journey was for this, in my opinion, you know, because if you didn't have that journey, I mean, I don't know, man, it breaks your heart. Like, I could cry for real just from your story. And if you didn't have the journey that you had, you wouldn't be helping so many people, and so many people that helped us, that gave us the freedoms that we take advantage of every day. We take advantage of them every day. You know, there's first world problems where we're like, oh, I can't get my coffee with the right creamer or whatever. Like, it's so ridiculous. And that's just, I'm in awe of the whole thing. And I tell you what, I love you, brother. That's amazing. It really is. It's got me. Yeah.
What are these machines called?
They're the one that we're using. They're the program in Ohio is called ETMS. And transcranial magnetic stimulation. Anybody, and they can look up ETMS Ohio and go in there and look at a bunch of testimonies and different things like that and see what it's all about. But in Florida, what the program that Amy and I are working is called an STMS. It's for sonal. That's the name of the device that we're using.
Okay.
And it's just, I walk around here, and I've been doing the treatments again down here. So, like I said, out there in the sun, do it. I carry the thing around different places. Cool. I mean, when I'm doing it, and which you were saying earlier about getting to the Ryan, about getting to the homeless veterans and stuff, these shelters and stuff. Amy and I have already been looking into them, and there's a place up in Ocala that kind of, it's a rehabilitation home, but it's to get you back on your feet and working again if you have a drug and alcohol problem or anything like that, where they find you homeless. You know, as soon as we get established in these locations here, and we can get a couple more technicians, we're going to be popping them in there, different places like that, going talking to them. So we're excited. I mean, I'm so stoked about the opportunity.
Dude,
I mean, it's so huge. You know, I mean, it just is.
I mean, this could be a first step into not taking medication. You know, you take the chemical.
Big Pharma doesn't like this, and with the drugs and alcohol, the recidivism rate in the state of Ohio that they're showing in some of the facilities we have a couple machines in. We have a machine in Youngstown. We have one in New Lexington, and a couple of the drug and alcohol rehabs, and it's keeping people, it's helping people with that. You know what I mean, from not going back, and we have testimony after testimony and data from the EEGs that we formed to prove that it's working. So
I mean, they need rehabs. That'd be awesome.
That's
why I was introduced to mine.
Yeah,
it probably could cross over.
It should
to, you know, just like the layperson that has an addiction issue. And you know, that didn't serve. It could probably cross over, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal, was to have this crossover, available for everybody. Because I mean, when we was up at the sheriff's office in Caddis and had those machines up there, we had kids at 9 years old. We had I think the most mature one, it was like almost 90.
Oh, wow.
And they all have benefits off of it, from reporting better sleep or whatever. So, I mean, all of them weren't veterans. It was just anybody who heard about it. It was changing people's lives, helping them with so many different things, that we were having people call me from all different reasons to try this. I said, let's do it. It's free.
Right. Yeah.
Pain-free, non-invasive. Let's see what happens. You know what I mean? And it was just amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Free is amazing.
That's wow. Man, oh man.
I'd never heard of this before. I mean, I've been through a couple rehabs. I mean, I know they're not in rehabs, but just being out and fresh off, a year and so many months being sober, I've never heard of this before until I met Dirk and we started talking. I mean, have you heard of it?
I mean, no, I never. It's an incredible thing. I mean, from you, that's where I heard it. And now that we've heard all this,
right.
I mean, it pulls. It really pulls at the heartstrings, like for me. And I really truly love that this program exists,
right.
and I love the fact that I mean, why wouldn't you be passionate about it? Because
right.
I'm a sales guy, so I look at it like how I would be passionate about it, because but you, I mean, there could be it's like, I mean, I don't want to trivialize it. I mean, I always throw jokes out, but I don't want to do that, but. I memean, I will say this: you're the Santa for these guys.
Right.
I say that with that beard, all right?
It's true.
And hopefully it all works out, which I think it will.
I think it will too.
And it's funding, right? You're going to have to get more funding in order to branch it out more, correct?
Yeah.
There's grants out there, right? Because like I used to, I sold, advertising for years, and I know it's a different animal, but. Like there was grant money that was earmarked. Like they had to use. If they don't use it, then they lose it. So, I mean, is that do you dip into a lot of that, like from your behavioral centers and things like that? Is that money you can pull from, or no? I'm just curious.
Well, mostly they have different line items in the state where they can regulate money each year, each fiscal year, and it usually goes in 2-year rounds with this program. And so they just put a budget in there. That's above my pay grade. I don't get to do all that, but they say this is the X amount of dollars that we're going to need to have this many machinery, this many people out there manning these machines.
So you really don't have to fight for the money. It's already there.
It's there. You just have to go and. Like when I was suit and tie, I would go in there. There would be a whole group of us. Actually, there would be lobbyists in there talking about different organizations. Well, we asked for $1.2 million to run lobsters on a treadmill, and then I would come up there and say we're requesting $3.2 million for 2 years to make the quality of life for your veterans and first responders in the state of Ohio better. And then that's just how we would do it. You're you're going against a lot of different people out there for the same line item money, and then they decide where to split this up. So, but
like what he's saying, the lobsters running on treadmills. I mean, it's just like I'm not going to get into political things, but it's just like things that are being cut right now, and you start to see all these things that are ridiculous, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so. Like you're saying, like you're going up against people that are like, we want money for something so frivolous,
right?
And what you want money for is for the people that took care of us,
right?
So that we didn't have to, and it seems like a no-brainer. It seems like there shouldn't be any question ever.
Right.
And I mean,
money.
Yeah, I think with so many veteran programs, there should never be a question. I mean,
exactly.
I don't want to get into Billy Ray Cyrus songs, but I mean, seriously, like it's how's the lyrics go? Some gave all gave. I don't know, but So I mean, it is. It's. I mean, I hold you in the highest regards, and I hold all those people, and I'm so glad. I mean, I'm beside myself. I mean. I knew you were good before, but I don't know that I always wondered how they put people into sainthood. I mean, I know that there's some churches that do that, but
I've reached that.
But I tell you, I couldn't be more proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, how big these machines? What's the ones you carry around and the ones that are just stationary? How big are they? I'm sure they're not.
The ones that we could carry around, there's a unit here. You just turn the on and off switch on the bottom, and you have an app to your phone that digitally will start that machine.
That's so cool.
Your treatments, and it's 100 times less to the output as the high end ones that we have at our brick and mortar sites. And it's a helmet that just sits across the top of your head here, but it covers 3 areas of your head, so it takes 30 minutes. The high-end machines that you can just put on the frontal part of your forehead take 14 to 16 minutes. But these ones on the front part of your forehead will administer the stimulation for 6 to 7, 8 seconds and then rest for 15 or 30. And then administer some more and then rest. This one that you put on your head, the home unit's 100 times less. The output of the high-end machine covers 3 parts of your brain, and it's continually administering for 30 minutes.
Wow.
But I've thought that the one for 30 minutes, it would take a lot longer before we seen it results when we first got a hold of it. I did it first before I'd ever put it on anybody's head, but I had already done TMS, and within 4 treatments, I was like, phew, my energy's up, and I just felt good and focused. And I thought maybe just charge me up a little bit, boost me because I've already done it. And I have Vietnam veterans come through there that hadn't slept for 50 years. I'm telling you, they were asleep for 45 minutes to an hour, they'll tell me, and then they'd get up interrupted, and then they can't get back to sleep, and they're just this whole time 50 stressed out. And after 4 or 5 treatments, they come in there and we cry together, and they share their stories with me and tell me, man, I slept all through the night. Tell me I wish my wife was still alive so she can see the person I am now, not what I was when I couldn't get this. Where was this when I got out? I was like, I wish you had me, brother, but we, but we have it now. So we have it now. See that? It's just.
Well, that's what I talked to you on your show about that, like the fact that the at least the progress is here where, I mean, those guys that came back from Vietnam, that's amazing that you can help those guys because think about, like, there were no programs, right, for them. I mean, nothing at all. I mean, I'm not even talking about the machine. I'm talking about anything, right?
You have shell shock, go deal with it.
Yeah.
When I'll tell you a little story when I was medevaced in Longstool, Germany, out of Iraq, when I was so medicated up, and I don't remember, we stopped somewhere. All I remember is a room full of people that, was being medevaced out of there. And, but when I landed in Longstool, Germany, see this, I got your 6.
Yeah.
I'm laying there on this bed, gurney, whatever you call it. And the Vietnam veteran soldier comes up to me, has his Vietnam veteran hat, he has his leather vest on. And he goes, I got your 6, brother.
Wow.
He goes, we're here to whatever you need. I got your 6. And I don't know the guy's name. I don't remember, He held my hand and he said, whatever you need. I said, I appreciate it. Thanks. I told him, welcome home. Because I don't know if you ever heard it. You know what I mean? Those guys.
That's powerful.
So I wish I knew who the gentleman was to this day because, he ended up, because I got out of there, I didn't have too many clothes with me. So he helped hook me up with some stuff and had it sent up to wherever I was at. But, yeah. So, now's my opportunity to have their 6. And put this on
it's full circle. I mean, the term's used so much, but you paying it forward. I mean, in a real way, because it's a cycle. That's just awesome. And you would never think, that he'd be helping you, and now. Yeah, the fact that you can help them is because, like I told you, I remember stories of my uncle and like he would chew his fingernails off, not just the tips, like the whole thing, when he came back from Nam, and he never talked about it at all, ever. I mean, ever. It was not something that was ever talked about, and that's just, it's amazing that. That this program, not only that, it's just amazing how many people it's helping. And just getting started. Yeah, I mean, something. I know we're not supposed to be prideful, as godly men, but man, it's something to be proud of for sure.
It is.
I feel blessed, really, really blessed that I get to really kind of, because I know how it changed the dynamics of my life and what it did for the whole dynamics of my family.
Yeah.
To get their husband back, to get their dad back, or whatever, And now I just get to watch God do it to other people's lives every day. It's just like, man, I feel so blessed.
Yeah, when you're helping someone else,
yeah,
it's helping you tenfold, and it feels so good, And I couldn't even imagine. I mean, that would be that's astronomical, and it's just wonderful.
I mean, that's great that you're working for them. That you travel, you put the time in. You're really doing it, and it's. I mean, I wish I could do. I could do more, but what you're doing is way bigger than a podcast. You're really getting in there and seeing people and changing their life.
Yeah.
You're on the front lines.
Yeah, you really are. And
don't ever underestimate what you're doing or who you're affecting out there, man, because you're doing the same thing. There's people out there watching you guys right now. You don't even know that you're probably changing their lives. So just keep doing what you're doing. We just keep be humble servants.
We do that together, brother.
Yeah,
that's
we are.
For sure.
Yep.
And I think that, I mean, we could. I think that this is a proper time to wrap it up because. Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing story.
Yes.
I'm so blessed to hear it here.
Finally.
I mean, because I didn't know what I was in for, and wow.
I didn't.
Wow, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And, as time goes on, we're going to have more. And we're
yeah.
You'll hear more of it, and we'll laugh about some.
I mean, we've been waiting for you for a while. I know our schedule's conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll just keep going. It's going to keep moving.
This is just a start for all three of us.
I really so you guys have me on there, man. And
we love you being on here. We love you, brother. I mean, that's for real. That's. I mean, I've always, since my father had passed, I always tell if I care about someone, I tell them I love them. And I love you, brother. I mean, that's. I tell him all the time. It's great things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And Amy as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But wow, I'm just, thank you. I mean, thank you for being there, but thank you for all you do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't heard it, but I'm sure you have, but.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much for taking your time with us today. And when you come back to Ohio, we'll all have to get together and start this new thing up again.
Yeah. Call me when it stays above 75 for 3 days in a row, or the mushrooms start popping up. I'll be up.
Trust me.
So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. And I know I'm going to ponder on this for quite a long time. But thank you so much, and
thank you, man.
Be safe.
Yeah,
and thanks again.
Yeah, let us know when you're back in town, buddy.
Peace, brother. Yeah, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right, brothers. Love you. Be safe,
buddy.